But before I get started, I'd like to say, I was feeling a little old this morning thinking about my Coast Guard career and that past. And then I had a talk with the recruit company Golf 183, and I had a glimpse of the future, and I want you to know that our future is bright. Admiral Allen, Admiral Pat, Distinguished Flag Officers, Sergeant Major of the Army Preston, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps Kent, Marine Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy West, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Roy, former Master Chiefs of the Coast Guard Lloyd Trenton Patton, Reserve Force Master Chief Allen, and my partners in crime Jeff Smith and George Ingraham, Chiefs of the Coast Guard, family and friends, thank you all for being here. My talk today is not about me or my career. As is always ultimately the case, others will decide whether I did my job well or not. I don't normally title speeches, but today if I were to do that, the title would be The Words to Semper Paratus. I don't normally dedicate speeches either, but I think I will today. This past March, Lieutenant Herb Collins retired. The last surviving Guardian who had been stationed at Pea Island passed away. All who attended his funeral could not help but be moved by the man that he was. The principal thing that I remember from a very short association with Lieutenant Collins was his inspirational a cappella rendition of Semper Paratus. Herb lived and breathed the Coast Guard, so today this speech is for him. I've always had a difficult time with the words to Semper Paratus, not because they're not meaningful, and not because they don't reflect our heritage. It's probably because I can't carry a tune. For me, the difficulty lies in the fact that many of the lyrics do not easily match the melody, and because there's so many versions with different words that the song is just not easily sung. But over the past 32 years, I have learned it's not always been easy. Now, our Commandant, Admiral Allen, differs with me on this, and for good reason. He knew every word to every version of Semper Paratus before he could read. He knew the words because his father, Chief Bill Allen, taught them to him. And because, believe it or not, Admiral Allen can sing. Don't get me wrong. My heart beats Semper Paratus, and to each verse and every version has meaning. But to me, the deepest meaning belongs to the words in the chorus. These words sum up everything significant about the Coast Guard. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame and glory too. We'll fight to save, or fight and die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you. Let's look at these words closely. Always ready. A few years ago, our former Commandant, Admiral Jim Lloyd, coined the term, preparation equals performance. It is the defining characteristic of our service. In 2005, the entire Coast Guard proved it was ready for the call when we came together to save 33,000 people in the 10 days following Hurricane Katrina's passing. Today, we see that same spirit of readiness in our response to the cataclysmic oil spill in the Gulf. For the call. What call? Call to help? Call to war? Call to protect borders? Call to enforce laws? Call to protect the environment? Douglas Monroe was ready for the call during September 1942 at Guadalcanal when he placed his landing crafts in harm's way and blanketed the area with protective fire against a large force of attacking Japanese in order to save a battalion of Marines. He responded to the call and paid the ultimate price, sacrificing himself so that others could live. We place our trust in thee. Place our trust in what? God, country, service. We place our trust in a cause that is beyond ourselves. Nate Bruckenthal put his trust in a cause beyond himself when he and his boat crew placed themselves between a vessel carrying a waterborne improvised explosive device and critical infrastructure so important that peace in the Middle East could well depend on it. He and his Navy shipmates Michael Pernicelli and Chris Watts did not die in vain. Challenges remain, but Iraq is a much different place than it was just a few years ago. Through surf and storm and howling gale. When I think about this line, I think about Bernie Weber. With a 36-foot motor lifeboat, he and his crew battled through 60-foot seas to save 32 survivors off the stern of the motor vessel Pendleton. There is a famous picture of Bernie and his crew at the Chatham Fish Dock taken just after they offloaded the survivors and before the boat crew had departed the boat. Look closely at Bernie's face in the picture. In his eyes, you will see the reflection of surf and storm and howling gale. High shall our purpose be. The Coast Guard's missions are noble. Safety, security, protection, defense. On 25 March 2007, Guardian Ron Gill did not know that the security patrol he embarked on would be his last. But without a doubt, he knew that his purpose was high and his course was true. Semper Paratus is our guide. Semper Paratus means always ready. On the 4th of September 2008, the crew of Coast Guard 6505 was conducting readiness training when their helicopter crashed into the seas in the waters off Honolulu. Then on 29 October 2009, Coast Guard 1705 crashed after a mid-air collision with a Marine helicopter. Between the two accidents, the nation lost 11 Guardians and 2 Marines. Coast Guard crews operate in hostile environments all over the globe. There is no safe mission. We are always ready. Our fame and glory, too. Coast Guard crews just don't do this for fame or glory. If we did, we would be constantly disappointed. On a small uninhabited island adjacent to Station Nia Bay lie the graves of 2 surfmen who perished in 1902. Over 100 years have passed, and no family or friends are even aware the graves of these heroes are there. But we still remember. We'll fight to save. To execute our missions, we fight against many enemies, but the one constant across all mission sets is the environment itself. David Bosley, Matthew Schlimm, Clinton Minikin, and Benjamin Wingo understood that when they responded to a sailing vessel in distress during a stormy night off the Washington coast in 1997. They fought to save, but only one made it home. Or fight and die. Lieutenant Jessica Hill, BM2 Stephen Duquet, PS3 Ron Gill, Captain Thomas Nelson, Lieutenant Commander Andrew Wishmeyer, AST-1 David Skimmon, AM-2 Joshua Nichols, Lieutenant Commander Che Barnes, Lieutenant Adam Bryant, Chief Petty Officer John Seidman, AE-2 Carl Gurnos, AE-2 Monica Beecham, AMT-2 Jason Moletsky, AMT-3 Danny Crater. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you.